Yo, welcome to the New Normal Podcast, a place where we say what people are thinking. Today, I got Jay, but don't forget the Mac
Yes, sir.
in the studio with me today. And we got a fire ass topic for y'all today. We're gonna be talking about the Brad and her white sperm donor,
Mm.
uh, Ebony K and Ilyana. I never said her name right.
I think it's Ayanla.
Ayamla, Van Zant, and is the bus driver and the money and stuff like that. How black men felt about that comment. So let's start with the bus driver because that's the bus driver comment seems to be pretty hot right now.
For sure.
I'm just gonna jump into it. What is your take on it? Was she wrong? Right? Did she come off as arrogant and sensitive? What is your take on it?
Um, I think that okay. I think somebody like Ebony K, who is I think relatively attractive, seems fit,
Hmm.
and that kind of thing. I think that she has earned some right to a little bit of discretion and stuff with her dating preferences. Um, so I'll admit I wasn't as, just appalled by the comment as I noticed a lot of other people were. But I after listening to, like my man and like some other male podcasters, I kind of can understand where the angst is coming from because, she is 39 and it's kind of this thing that we've been talking about for so long. Like in the dating and sexual marketplace value world, men kind of increase their value with age, typically because the older they get, the more money they will have amassed, the more status they will have acquired, or what have you. But for a woman, because the things that a man is looking for in her are not the same as what she's looking for in him, a lot of times her sexual marketplace value kind of diminishes with age. So I guess the logical assumption is if you're 39 and you're single and it's still up in the air whether or not her and that white guy were divorced or if they had just broken off an engagement.
Let me look at it right
Yeah,
now.
but I think the consensus was that no matter what type of dissolution of the relationship it was, that it was led by him. That he was the person that initiated it, and of course, one has to ask. You had this big shot. I'm sure you wouldn't date a broke white guy, so you had this big shot rich white guy, and you don't have him anymore, and you're single now. So obviously, there must be something wrong with you, Ebony. So maybe just be a little more introspective. But if you're an ambitious woman, I'm gonna be honest. I don't see 100% issue with you wanting a man of ambition as well. And I think maybe that's why she specifically worded the way she did to say, I'd rather date the bus owner because maybe you started out as the bus driver, but through your ambition, you ended up owning a few buses, just like with you driving trucks. I hear a lot of truck drivers say ultimately they want to own their own trucks.
Yeah. So what I see, this is a article about her
Okay.
joining the Real, I guess the Real Housewives of New York.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it says there's another single lady joining fabulous ladies of the Real Housewives of New York. Ebony K. Williams is the newest housewife, and she's also the first black woman starring on Real Housewives of New York. Williams will make her Real Housewife of New York debut on season 13. Dang, it's been that many seasons. Premiering tonight, Tuesday, May 4th. I'm just gonna skip down, but it was saying right here. It says, I was engaged to be married. She said, I started 2020 planning a wedding, deposits to vendors and videographers, wedding planners. I was planning a wedding, a marriage, more importantly. And then this quarantine made us tell the truth about our relationship. Wow. Before
Hmm.
they ended things, Williams dated her ex fiance for nearly 4 years. She added, I'll tell you what happened. He actually did not quarantine with me. He has three
Jesus.
children, two of which are young adults, and he chose to quarantine in New Jersey with his semi-adult children. And for me, listen, I'm not a parent yet. I get that you're number one, but I need to be number one. And I wasn't number one, so I needed to move on. Williams was
Hmm.
not publicly has not publicly shared that the name of her ex, nor has she kept any photos of him up on social media pages. Many fans had theorized that he was a childhood friend of hers. So yeah, she's never been married, no kids, and got an issue with the man because he wants to quarantine with his children. Like, you got to understand, like, you would think he would want to quarantine with his children if everybody's seem to be dying or sick or you don't know what's going on. But then, like, he couldn't go back and forth.
I mean, I think that that's just one of the reasons why I, swore off of dating men with children anyway. I think, and that's just a personal thing. I think the only people that should be dating people with children are people with children, because otherwise you're just not going to understand it. Like that verbiage that she used, where she was like, "I need to be number one," like in the real, in how it's supposed to be, that's actually true. You're supposed to have children with your spouses. Um, I understand certain circumstances happen, people become widowed or widowers, but other than that, you know.
Well, I'm gonna say this. If you're a person that don't, as a man with children, if my wife was to ever die or something like that, or widow, or we just broke up, I would never date a woman with children, even though I have children.
That's so funny that you said that, but I'm telling you, it really just adds I don't know, kind of a different dynamic to the relationship. So I hate to sound like I'm batting for her, because I promise I'm not. But at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here, because can I be candid for a
Go
second?
ahead.
So when I was arguing, not really arguing, but I mean when Darian and I were debating about this, my issue was I wanted to make sure that all the men that are having these conversations, because I'm always on y'all side with stuff, because I know how ridiculous women sound. But you cannot take both sides of the argument.
Hmm.
You cannot listen to Myron and Fresh always telling you guys about how men are supposed to be this and be that, level up and do these types of things so that they can be bosses in their lives, and then so that you can attract the type of woman that you want. And then when a woman is, whatever type of woman she is, and she says, okay, hey, yeah, I don't want to date a bus driver, especially at my age. I mean, what are we supposed to assume? She's 39. So the men that she's dating are probably around the same age as her. If you're driving buses at 40 something years old that you do not own, and you don't have a plethora of side hustles, you probably are not well off, not well to
But
do.
let's be real. She wouldn't date a bus driver if he did have side hustles, because she, as an attorney, and what I would look like going around my attorney friends, and they say, "Well, what does your man do?" He drives buses. Or do you mean he owned the buses? Because that's what they're gonna say. Just like you mean he owned the bus? And she's like, no, he drives the bus, but he takes care of me. He pays all the bills. And they were like, because just let's be real. If
But is
y'all
that
want,
realistic though? That he would pay all the bills and stuff, and she clearly makes way more money than him. Like we both know that's not a
but I'm just saying.
thing.
You said if he had all the side hustles, I'm just
Oh,
factoring.
okay,
If
sure,
I'm
okay.
factoring in like his main profession, because most people make money from what they their day to day jobs, right?
Mhm.
So if he was a bus driver and that's what he did as his profession, she telling her friends that's in that circle and who she's supposed to be and on the Real Housewives and stuff, she could not go to her friends and tell her friends, I date a bus driver. That would not fly in her circle. They would look
That's
down on her.
true.
And like I keep telling people, keeping up with the Joneses is a real thing. And like they market that to black women, especially if you ever watched the videos that came out in the 1960s, how to sell to a Negro, you should go watch that. And they talk about how they play on the emotions of black women.
But
Go ahead.
so the thing is though, in these situations, because there was a lot of backlash, like
Mhm.
from men and women, but obviously mostly men. And I guess the issue I have though is, do y'all actually, now you're married and Darian's with me, but if those situations weren't the case, if both of you were single men, do you actually want to date a woman who makes significantly more money than you? Would that not, even if it was never said, it never has to be just outwardly said, but would it not just kind of have this strange dynamic between the two of you? Because we associate money with power. And if you're supposed to be leading the household, being the man, to make the decisions, to be the one to put your foot down or what have you, it just is this kind of natural order for you to be, just doing,
This
even
is
if it's just
I'm
slightly.
I'm gonna say this, and this is my hot take for the day. I can tell if what you're saying in theory sounds good, but in logic, not so much. And I can tell a woman if she's smart or dumb by how she maneuvers with men when it pertains to money, right? So
Okay.
if you are a woman and you're dating a guy, like a lot of women date guys for potential, right? And they don't understand that a lot of guys are easily complacent with a lot of things that they do in their life. So if they feel comfortable, they ain't want to, go get another degree, go switch jobs to make more money and all this. A lot of guys get complacent easy. Whereas women have this, I want more, you need to build, because a lot of times, especially you notice this in a lot of marriages that I see, after marriage, women are typically like, what's next? So if you're not building and she's constantly building, getting promoted, making more money, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm out earning my man, so he's less of a man." That's dumb. That's stupid, because I'm more than just money. Don't use that metric, or don't use that as the pinnacle to judge me as a man. Because I was just saying this the other night. I'm a creative. I would never tell any woman that I'm dating to that you should judge me on money, because I might quit my job just because I'm a creative. I might want to sit at home and
But
create something.
but if I may, I think that though Ebony could have just been doing damage control, because I'm sure you heard her response video
No,
where
I
she
haven't.
okay, so basically in her response video, she was saying that what people heard was her saying, of course, once again, she didn't actually say this, to her credit, but that she said they basically put it in her mouth to say that she wouldn't date a bus driver because of that he doesn't make enough money. But she said the reason why is basically kind of what I was hinting at, is that she is really big on black ownership, black proprietorship. So she feels like she would rather have the man that says, "I want to, if I'm going to be involved in the bus industry, let me own a bus."
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Uh,
You should look it up. You should play
This
it
is what I'm finna do right now.
because she walked it down.
Does Ebony K. Williams own a law firm? We finna settle this right now.
Oh God.
Hell, as a matter of fact, it said her license was suspended for unpaid fees.
Oh dear Ebony.
So how you gonna talk about?
But
See,
okay,
and
so
this is
y'all, okay, would she be qualified to make that statement if you had not just read that?
no,
I think y'all
no.
are being
I think
disingenuous.
no. I don't. I think she's being very disingenuous, because if we gotta first of all, if you like men that are owners, date men that are owners. Okay, I don't have no problem with that. But you can't sit around here and act like every individual black man is supposed to be an owner. A
She
lot
didn't
of
say that. She said the ones that what so I'm saying once again, you say that you guys don't, obviously you personally don't have a problem with it. You know what she eat don't make you know what, but
yeah,
I'm saying obviously y'all do have a problem with this level of thinking, because every time we bring it up, it brings some sort of backlash. So what is the problem with a woman who has, whether yes, she's probably racked up a lot of debt, whatever, but she has a law degree. That is a prestigious thing. That takes work, that takes dedication. Nobody can take that from her. That takes time, that takes preparation, that takes sacrifice. So if she has done that, why is she not allowed to say, "I want somebody that's done something similar"?
I don't think that's not the issue with the backlash. For me, I'm gonna speak for me.
Okay.
My issue with, if I had an issue with what she said, is you're 40 years old with the same rhetoric, baby. Like, you ain't looked around and seen what you're doing is not working. You're 40 years old talking about you're not settling. You're 40 years old talking about you still need a man to protect for you. You're still talking about you need a man to provide for you. You're still asking a 69-year-old woman on an interview, where are the good men at? And she's single herself.
Jesus.
And you're asking advice from a woman because you said you wanted to speak to this woman because you felt some way about her on the Breakfast Club saying that women are men in skirts nowadays. So that's why this whole interview started, because you said you had to get her on this interview because of what she said on the Breakfast Club. So you already was a hit dog, because you said at the beginning of the interview, I've been on a few dates and men had to tell me on my dates that we're not in the courtroom.
Okay, to be fair, I did not watch the
I
interview in
watched
its
the whole
entirety.
interview.
Okay, so I was about to say, I was wondering if there were some other things that she said that maybe were off-putting to some people.
If you see the whole interview, the first 1 minute, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna play it because
Go ahead, yeah.
it's only 1 minute. Hold on.
No, for sure. And to be fair too, with Ayanla, wasn't she the one that said she divorced her husband over he was that her that said something about he
She,
didn't get the type of cookie she used to I feel like
think it was her.
yeah, I'm like I understand that stuff it be bigger than than what we make it, but oh
I
child.
heard a similar story about a woman said she knew that her husband didn't love her anymore because he
Every
used to
time he went to the store, he wouldn't get the
cookies or
cookies that
yeah,
she
something
liked.
like yeah.
Yeah, I thought that might not have been her that said that, but I thought it was, but oh, you said quit giving if you ain't. But you know what people would say to that? They say coaches don't play.
Who?
Like coaches of like a sports team, they don't play, but they coach.
Coaching when it comes to sports and coaching when it comes to life is two different things.
Hmm.
X's and O's and routes and what people are doing, film and study and years of almost 100 years of football. We pretty much can coach football. It's crazy that we're still having these conversations, and humans been around millions of years, that we still have this relationship dynamic. And really, what it is,
It's just
tech.
Western society, I think. It's just like the dynamics that we
I'm
introduced in
not gonna
Western
necessarily say
society.
Western society. I think a lot of this shit is just technology. Like technology, you gotta think about how many generations or revolutions we went through
Mhm.
in our generation. Just 20 years of the internet,
Okay.
from going from a big computer on your desk to having a computer in your pocket in 20 years.
And being able to just access anybody at any time,
Right,
like
FaceTime them and stuff like that. That's in 20 years.
yeah,
Meeting people, dating people. Most people meet on dating apps, Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that.
that's true.
So when you're thinking about like how the dating dynamics work now, it's going to be weird when you got women in the workforce. And this is why I say women don't even game plan good enough, because you fought to be in the workforce. Granted, maybe not black women, but women as a whole now have adopted to I got to go to work, right?
Mhm.
But you adopted this I got to work. Men are barbaric and uh clubbing us against the head and making us, taking the cootie pop and all of this. So we got to go work and get our own money so we can be the boss bitches nowadays, and we can have sex how we want to have sex, and you can have this man in your bed and that man in your bed. This is where we at now, right?
Right.
And so if you haven't game plan, you never thought to yourself like it might be a day where women earn more money than men, and men become more unattractive because we earn more money.
Okay,
Nobody
and by
ever.
that same token, then did you ever consider there would be a day that when because here's the thing, if it truly is a man's world, which I've always said that it is, and that men do ultimately control just about even with all this craziness we're seeing, it still wouldn't be able to be a thing if men didn't allow it to be a thing because men control so many of our actual structures. Like if we didn't CNN is owned by a man. So if a man did not say I'll allow you guys you anchors to get on here and spew this uh pro trans rhetoric, they wouldn't be able to do it.
I think I'm gonna say this. I think you have some big people, some big dogs with some heavy pockets that just like destruction. They had a thing that said from chaos comes. Hey, what is it? What is the term
Well, order
from chaos
can't
comes
be
orders or something like that?
so the quote I'm thinking of is that order can't be derived from chaos.
No, it's some. I'm gonna look it up. I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Hold on, but let me share this video real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah, let the people see it. Let me see it here.
Let me play it. My screen don't work when I try to do the other screen, so I got to do it like this.
So blessed to have you
Fine.
here with us today on the Griot. I want to start, dear, with something that we share. which is that we are both attorneys by trade. You are a
Yes.
lawyer, you have a legal background. And as women in the law, Ayanla, do you believe that lens, that legal lens, informs our perspective and the way we show up in the world as women?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I got out. Yeah. Very, very, very masculine, very intellectual, almost stripped and robbed of humanity. It really shows the dichotomy between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. And
Mm.
for me, it just didn't feed my soul. And so I had to get out.
I feel that. And I do feel that I might have heard on a date or two, Ayanla, that we are not in a courtroom, Ebony. You can put the gavel down. And I do, I do feel it can spill over into the way I show up in my womanhood, which is really the center of this conversation today, Ayanla. We want to discuss masculine energy, feminine energy. I do want to start with kind of a news framing, which is that women's rights across the country, especially Black women's rights, they're under attack. Lots of laws are banning abortions. They are regulating what we can and cannot do with our bodies. What do you think happens for Black women when this type of siege is at play and we don't feel we have anyone to protect us?
Right. Well, the first thing I think we do is we go into anger. We go into anger without a clear ask. Doesn't make sense to be angry unless you got to ask. What is it that you're asking for? People can say anything in the world, but that doesn't mean that they get a right to do it. It doesn't mean that they get a.
I'm gonna pause right there, and the reason I'm gonna pause that because if y'all didn't watch the podcast last night, y'all should go watch it. But I asked, what when a Black woman is asking Black men for protection, what is it that she's asking for? And I'm trying to rack my brain, like, what does that mean? But I keep hearing Black women, and I said it's like they ace in the hole. They always throw that out as their gripe about Black men provide provision and protection. But when men, we understand provision, you are providing, you want nigga to make more money. But what does the protection look like?
I mean, for me,
Hold on,
oh,
I want to finish. But that's why when she said, "What is the ask?" it's so important because she basically saying Black women saying a whole bunch of stuff, but y'all ain't telling us or giving us clear direction on what you're asking for.
yeah, or what you feel like you're not getting.
Right. You're not putting it on a spreadsheet where I can look at it and have a checklist and check. Okay, well, I can do this, I can do this. Well, we might need to negotiate about this. Like nobody's giving Black men that if Black men are dropping the ball in protection, okay, what physically are we dropping the ball? What are we dropping the ball emotionally? Where are we dropping the ball?
Yeah,
Reputation.
whenever you're ready, I can definitely have an
Go
answer
ahead.
for that. Oh, so I feel like at least when some women say that, I think they're insinuating that they want protection of their reputations. Like they want Black men to speak highly of them when in front of other people, right? To protect the prestige and the intrigue of Black women, but of course we know that they've squandered that themselves.
Mhm.
So back when we had women who were more reserved and mysterious and men just genuinely like they were feminine, they were kind of an enigma to men. Like of course they naturally wanted to no, you're not going to speak poorly of a Black woman, specifically mine. But nowadays our men, they're smart enough to see that we've put ourselves in these predicaments. And also another thing too, I think it was Corey Holcomb that said this. He was like, I can't protect a woman that doesn't listen to me. So like if I'm telling you specifically, like let's say something with dress. So if you're a woman and you dress very, very provocatively in a space without your man, like you're gonna go on like a girls' night or something, and you're dressed and it's just really salacious, and your man's trying to tell you like you shouldn't wear this. Well, in his way, I think that in a way that's kind of him trying to protect you too, trying to protect your reputation
Right.
and also trying to physically protect you because whether we want to admit it or not, you're kind of advertising goods. You might be putting yourself in unwanted, uncomfortable circumstances when you get to wherever you're going because your breasts are showing all the way, like you got on a mesh shirt and we can see your nipples or whatever.
Well, I'm gonna say this: if if you go down with an objective view on social media, black men are protecting black women every day.
Really?
Every day. A part of protection is giving wisdom. Black men
Okay.
that say, "Hey, y'all are doing X, Y, Z." Hey, like that. I n- I never thought, and I'm 34 years old, and of course, we never, as a kid growing up, you don't have foresight, but to
Okay.
think that is a be a day where black women are advocating for aborting black male babies, where they're saying black women are being attacked because you can abort a child, that they telling y'all what you can and can't do with your bodies. Like, my nigga, that's called society. Like,
They want everything. That's how you know that their arguments are just totally disingenuous, because as soon as you introduce some logic, it just blows to pieces. If you were a man, if your girlfriend was 6 weeks pregnant and you took your hand and did like this in her stomach and so hard that it somehow killed that baby, you would go to jail for that. But at 6 weeks pregnant, if she decided to literally go to a facility to where they would suck the baby out of her, and in some of these abortion clinics, they do horrendous things. I know the Daily Wire did an expose, or at least aided in an expose that they did on this abortion clinic in New York City, where they literally had a box of baby parts just sitting like next to a dumpster outside the facility, where the babies' heads had been bashed in and the brains had been sucked out. So that dispels the whole, oh, it's a humane procedure, it's painless, it's whatever else. No, it's not. And even if it were, it's still not humane, because we shouldn't be in a society where we literally advocate for, killing kids in the womb. That's
yeah.
that's insane.
So, but like I said, and then we keep having this argument about who controls pregnancy, who controls reproduction. Women have full autonomy nowadays over
Full.
reproduction. And so when men say I can abandon the child, and then women act like abandonment is worse than killing it, from stopping it from breathing, that blew my mind. Abandonment is worse than you killing a kid. And I know they like to use the semantics. So it's a fetus. Okay, well, let's play the game. Is it alive? Do you have to have a procedure to stop the life? Well, let's talk about it being a fetus. Well, let's call that a stage of life, like fetus, embryo. What about child? What
Exactly.
about infant? What about toddler? What about adult? What about, So we want to play the game of what we're going to label it. That's just a stage of life. That's what murder is. Murder is terminating of life.
Exactly. It's very simple. And especially when you think about the reasons why they do it. Like they always try to use the whole, oh, what about incest and grape? It's like, come
Those are
on.
so
It's
small.
like extremely small percentages. So
That's
if
that's using a pencil to hold up a house.
man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. So no, you're literally going, and then they brag about it and make jokes about it. I think that's where I really started to kind of just disassociate myself from the sisterhood. I was like, no, I can't be rocking with y'all like that. Y'all literally get on the internet and joke and play about aborting your children. Like, what's
Just think about this. Just think about this. In our society, and this all gonna tie back into Ebony. In our society, our community, right? Black community, we joke and play about aborting and then get upset about these young men coming from these single mother raised homes and how violent they are.
Yep.
You don't think abortion is a violent act?
You don't think that
But
your son's hearing you get on the internet joking about killing your future children, you don't think that that has an effect on their psyche too?
right, like we do so much and say so. We say a lot that means so little. Like we always doing like the most horrendous stuff. And then in our community, I don't like that being black or being on code or being down for the people or trying to be cool a lot of times is associated with some of the most detrimental stuff that it can
Exactly.
be.
That I've been on that soapbox for the last 6-7 years, and it's getting a little better. I think some people are starting to wake up, but for the most part it's still met with so much pushback. I could say the most simple thing. I could say, you probably should not, if you are a mother, you probably should not get on the internet and be twerking in front of a camera, because though yes, maybe we consider twerking to be just a part of our culture. Why do we assume that just because something is a part of our culture, that means it's like the right thing to be doing? What's wrong with, if you gon' twerk, fine, who everybody likes to dance with, why you can't just do that with your man? Oh,
But
I know, because you don't have one.
but I'm pretty sure even when they was twerking, they was probably doing a certain time, not every waking moment of the day.
Exactly. Exactly. There's a time and place for things. And it should not be behind a camera, I'd say, no matter what time or place, because, I'm telling you, like, when it's on the internet, it's
It's
on
forever,
there.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so don't, like these women with the whole Freaknik thing. First of all, they don't even know if the documentary is going to actually come out. It's still kind of up in the air. But there's already this slew of women trying to seek litigation to prevent it, to say, of course, that it's showing them in an unfavorable light and it could cause blah, 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 blah. It's like, why didn't you think of that then? I understand we all had youth and we all have done silly things in our youth, but I think it's a cultural problem that your mothers did not instill in you to say, do not go somewhere and be acting in such a way that could potentially totally ruin your reputation.
This is why I'm going to start. And like I said, this goes back to black men protecting black women every day on the internet by telling black women certain things. But this is why I'm going to start my why I'm a victim blamer, right? They have a whole article or a study where they went and asked rapists, what do they look for when they are going to rape somebody?
Jesus, Cedric, what in the world are you finna say?
And men are telling women the least clothes you wear is going to put yourself in a bad predicament, because number two, which probably should be number one, but number two on the list is easy to access clothing. So the least clothing that you have on, the easier it would be to rape you.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, of course, the counter to that you always hear is that a woman, and some even men will say, at the end of the day, if you're a rapist, you're just a rapist. Like that you would rape, if you have the propensity to rape someone, you would do that under any circumstances. Not
That's not true though. That's not true. If you're a rapist, you're a rapist, true enough. But that's like, if I'm a thief, would I be robbing the hardest bank in the world or the easiest bank in the world? Like, in the concept, yeah, I'm a thief, but I'm going to go the easiest route I can go. So even if I'm a raper, don't mean I'm going to go out here and rape a nun that's fully clothed and wrapped up and I got to pull all this stuff up, because I could just think of what could happen, how long that process could probably take to actually get everything off to actually get into a woman like that. So yes, if you're going to rape, you're going to rape, but there is certain things that people are looking for. And like I say, they interviewed these guys and they're telling you, they gave you the playbook on what to do to not put yourself in a predicament to get raped. And this is men who have raped, but now they are giving you game and it's protecting you. But you don't want to use that though. That sounds crazy, huh?
I think the issue that I have, to your point, is that why are women just not listening to men, period? Like, they're trying to say,
Money,
hey, I'm trying to tell
money,
you, if I'm not
money.
married to you, or if I have not at minimum expressed that I plan to marry you, you probably shouldn't have a kid by me. I'm living my life. I'm doing me. We're figuring it out. Men say those types of things all the time, and women just, uh-huh.
The reason women, my mom used to tell me this: a woman a lot of herself when she like you. That's number one, and I've seen that a lot of
We
times.
gotta stop
That's
doing it.
she like you,
We
and
got to figure it out.
two, if you hitting that button,
Oh God, here we go.
if you hitting that button just right, she a lot of herself and see stuff that ain't even there. So it's like when you're thinking about what's going on, when women don't listen, women listen to the people around them, the women take bad
or the
advice
men
from
like Steve
from
Harvey.
from bad advice, or that's the only time they want to listen to a man.
Yeah, when he's pandering to their narrative.
Right, but men don't naturally think like that because I understand. Like, if I'm Steve Harvey, I'm gonna say the same thing too because I made $200-300 million all pandering to women.
Exactly.
Is it going?
Not
Is
to
that
mention,
helping?
Steve Harvey's wife is fine AF. But
Yeah,
here's the
she is fine.
thing.
She's beautiful.
Here's the thing, though. It's like at the end of the day, you married somebody who, I mean, seriously, he took a page out of like you married a woman who was with a kingpin, and then she herself was kind of involved in because why would you're not going to be with somebody like that and not get involved in the lifestyle too. So it's kind of like, of all the women you could have had with your money and stature, I mean, she's
Well,
pretty, but she
well,
had kids
he
too.
said he knew her from a childhood, or
Okay.
where they grew up together. Let me rephrase. He said they grew up together,
And
they
she did not give him the time of day before because this, and how I know he might not have said
no,
that directly.
he said they dated.
That's what I'm saying. But then he said when, okay, so think about what you're saying. They dated. They broke up in some way. We both know men don't really break up with women. So she left him because he was probably too square or whatever. And she went and found her little kingpin. And when he got all used up and went to jail, then she want to come crawling back to Steve. Oh, I need somebody to help me raise my children.
I'm not gonna say that, and the reason I'm gonna say that because some people have to get on, and when you're younger, I'm not. And
it ain't no reason to be dating no kingpin, especially if you was dating somebody that was just a normal, well-to-do man with a job and a dream, and Steve had his little comedy gigs. Now your butt just want to be a hot girl, and
but
that lifestyle don't leave you.
That don't mean you was being a hot girl because you was with a kingpin, though. That don't mean you was
She
in the
had
life.
was they married?
I don't know. I don't know the full story. I just know this. This is the simple part of just being a man. I think there's going to be one woman for every man. You might have come across her right now. You might have not, but there's going to be a woman you gonna simp out for. I don't give a fuck what niggas be talking crazy and be like, yeah, man, I'm the man, and bruh, is she fine enough? And she put that cootie pop on you just right, fine enough, and say the right things, bruh. Yes, my nigga, you good as gone. You good as out of there. It's one. Everybody got one. You, like I said, you might have came across it, you might not, but there's one.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's his wife. So when he says things like the interview he did with Shannon Sharp, the part that I didn't mind him saying, I didn't mind him kind of being annoyed with new age men saying things like, because I know I'm not supposed to say as a man, but from the perspective of a woman, it is a bit off-putting to hear so many men make it sound like it's a bad thing to provide and protect for your woman. Like you can't be that jaded, because then you're no different than us. Then you're no different than what you call us. You call us bitter, you call us jaded. You sound the same way. If we've knocked you out of your masculinity just because you've dealt with a few bad hands, then you are no different than the women who say men ain't shit because of who they have dealt with.
I what you're saying, I agree 100%. Like, I think that's why men are saying what they're saying, because we've been sold a bill of goods. Like, it's when you see these many men on social media crying because they've been taking care of these kids and finding out these kids aren't theirs, and then you're telling, and then we keep saying, hey man, because there's no reason in 2023 you should not be getting your kids tested. I don't give a damn what kind of relationship y'all got.
Okay, can I please? Because you talk about this a lot.
Hold on. But so when women talking about men ain't shit, women ain't either, because we see so many times where we understand, like when people say they work at paternity banks, where 35 to 45% of the men tested aren't the father that's in question. That is ridiculous. And you know why that's ridiculous? Women have a small window to get pregnant. How many men are you sleeping with or have to sleep with to not even know who your child's father is? A small window.
Yeah, it's definitely only just
Like
few
maybe
days out
3
of the
days,
month,
3 to 5 days,
even really
where
get
you
pregnant.
can get a woman pregnant. But most people don't know the science. They say most women cheat during ovulation. That's why you have so many men finding out now that their kids aren't theirs because they say the hormones lead women to do things that they typically wouldn't want to do. So if it's a coworker or something, or that's typically what people are going to cheat at work or something like that. If
Mm.
you're around somebody every day, because it's called the proximity effect, and 38% of people meet their spouses at work, school, sport, church, or some type of gym activity. So when you think about what's going on, like these guys now are waking up to what they see in everyday life. We got so many men that have been now that we've been told the Cinderella effect, that women are so angelic, and that's why you have to bring the table to the woman and take care of woman. Then you find out, dang, these women out here really thinking like Suki Hunter, and really really out here trying to pop that coochie and making songs about eating men's booty holes and
Uh,
stuff like that. Like, what is really going on out here? And yes, men are bitter just like the women. I'm not saying it makes them feminine, but you can be bitter. If you black my eye, I have a reason to feel a ways about you. You can't tell me I'm not supposed to feel a ways because somebody black my eye. That's
well,
weird.
and I don't have any issue with that. I don't want y'all in a large capacity to start taking both sides of the argument, because that makes it seem like whatever your plight was disingenuous. Because we both know that y'all have been making fun of Black women, calling us bitter and jaded and all these things for years, and now you're starting to develop some of the same talking points. So maybe there was something to it. I never was, because the few times I got my heart broken, I saw it coming. I had to do introspective work to say I know I was just BSing. I was
You was
extremely,
lying to yourself.
yeah, I was extremely overweight, and I knew the guys I was dealing with was just I probably thought they was finna hit a lick on me and was wrong, because I ain't never spent no money on no man. Not not like that anyway.
So you think you had self-esteem issues because you mentioned over being overweight?
I think it was a mixture of that and also just smelling the blood in the water. I think that men, the same way us women, we can kind of like tell when men have certain insecurities or whatever.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that they probably just assumed because I was a bigger girl that I was going to be easy to walk over and this kind of thing. But I do have a question, and
Go ahead.
because you always mention this,
Go ahead.
so did you test your children? You literally talk about this
Yeah.
all the time. Okay. Because you literally say no matter what level of relationship you're at, you should do
You
it.
should do it.
So
But
okay.
people that I tell people this, me and my wife's first date, I say, hey, I believe in paternity tests. Very first date. It's not like, oh, you don't trust me. Like, baby, I don't know you. So I'm telling you, first date, paternity test.
No, but no, I totally agree. And the fact that they're not mandatory by this point is insane to me.
Yeah. And like I said, my mom used to say she ain't got nothing to hide. You should, because I know it's my baby. You don't know it's yours. You got to take my word. And my mom used to say that's a big ask. Even if you say you trust somebody, that's something big. Your lineage, something you taking care of. Like I said, you taking care of something that you didn't get
Oh, that brings
to enjoy making.
That brings me to something I really wanted to say in this podcast tonight. So you know how going to the Steve Harvey thing, where the issue that people are taking with what he said is that basically he said that it's silly to ask a woman what she brings to the table because she essentially is the table. And the reason why he said it is because he basically based it off the fact that she can, bear your children. And so here's the thing with that though, ladies. Y'all keep trying to use that talking point, but y'all have bastardized the process of having children. Having children used to be a beautiful, heavy thing, but y'all are having children every other year by every guy you date.
Right.
So the beauty and the mystique and the just awesomeness of that has been reduced to nothing.
Right.
That's why you can no longer use that. Maybe 50 years ago, sure, where it was like, oh my God, a woman is giving me a child. What better gift in the world can she give me than a child? But then you have to say to yourself, well, dang, she gave 2 other guys a child. So
it's not that special.
It's not that special anymore.
And I think it goes the same if she don't have kids. If she had abortions, you find out she had abortions. It's like, oh, you let anybody just,
you a miterer.
You know what I'm saying? You just a cum dumpster at this point. No. So it's like, dang, like this is what men are bitter about. It's the idea of hurt people, and it got to the point where women have been hurt for so long, and they get to the point where I think we seeing a lot of women when it comes to, like, you know how people get hurt and then they go on like be very promiscuous when they get hurt or their feelings hurt.
Right.
I think we're seeing that in mass right now. Like the way women are acting is because it comes from generations of hurt where women now feel like, you know what? I make my own money. I could do what men do. I'm finna sleep around and have fun and turn up with the homies and all this. Like, what in the world?
So you know how, going back to the Ebony K thing, you know how I feel like there's this kind of little, it's not necessarily a meme, but this little phrase I keep seeing this, like, so people are saying, "Oh, you women in your high standards, go date that construction worker. He likes you." And it's like, okay, I feel that. But why can't men accept that on the other end as well? Like,
What you mean?
why, for instance, going back to the bus driver statement, if a bus driver were trying to pursue Ebony K, maybe not right now. Okay, she's 39, but let's take it back 10 years. Maybe she was a practicing lawyer 10 years ago, at like in her, mid to late 20s, where yes, she's approaching the wall. But let's be honest, we know Black women look very good for a long time. And maybe if you hadn't spent your 20s as a 304, you could probably still have a good bit of value at 29 years old. But anyway, so if you were a 29-year-old Ebony and some bus driver approaches you and he's trying to just, really get to know you or whatever, and upon figuring out that he is a bus driver, you just kind of just say to yourself, "Oh, I'm not really interested," or whatever. Why can't men say to that man, that woman is out of your league? She's very nice looking, she's a lawyer, she's probably in certain social circles that you like. What's wrong with that? But you could say to that woman, you could say, your standards are too high, but why is the man's standards not too high? Like, if you're a bus driver, date the girl that works at Kmart. Like, she likes you. Date the girl from Kmart. She likes you.
I agree.
I don't know. I just feel
Like
like,
I agree. Like a man need to, you know, pay what they weigh. Like that's just is what it is. Like if you know you ain't a big dog and you know this a high powered woman, because a lot of men get hurt because they don't know they dealing with a woman that's a man eater. It's a lot of women out here that are men eaters. They gonna run through men. They just who they is. They high power. They fine. They know men's
Jesus.
gonna hop in their inbox. They know they can replace you or whatever. So you got to come with it. And a lot of dudes ain't able to keep up with a lot of these women that they're pursuing because, like I said, these just some man eaters. They gonna just run through men. They gonna run through your money. They gonna run through your pockets. They gonna run through your heart. They gonna run through your house, with another nigga maybe. So
Oh no.
who who knows,
Well, how do you feel about passport bros? Do you think that that's like a legitimate thing, or do you think that those
No,
dudes are lames in America and they're just gonna be lames in Brazil?
no, I don't think it's legitimate as far as trying to find traditional wives because they never travel to traditional places. They don't go to like Saudi Arabia or like where it's very strict Muslim where you got to go meet the daddy and the brother and they gotta say yes you can marry my daughter. No, they go to a place where sex tourism is very popular, like Asian countries and Brazil where they can have sex and do what they want to do. Because let's be honest, they probably are having their way with us sexually
So you
because
do think that it's largely driven by just sexual access?
yeah, it's definitely driven by sexual access. And then the thing about it is, if and like I said, it's the path of least resistance. Like that's
Yeah.
human nature.
Yeah.
So if I'm here in America and not having my good luck, and I can go somewhere else and have better luck, why not? Like that's the thing. Why not? Like I don't understand why people. Oh, y'all going over there because y'all lame? No, baby. I hit 2 girls here this year, but I can go over there and hit 20 in a year if I'm just looking for sex. And the thing about it is, I follow some passport bros on YouTube, and looking at the girls over there, they look just like American women. A lot of them.
So they're dolled up,
They
weaved up.
dolled up, weed up, body. Some got the BBL in Brazil. It is crazy over
I
there.
mean, it
Them
is called
women,
a Brazilian
them,
belt.
them women are beautiful walking down the street, and they just flirty. They nice. You're American. Like one dude would just stand on the streets, like shoot. Girls was coming. You American? You're American. And when they find out you're American, he's getting their number. Like, call me. Like they know very little English, but it's like they know enough to entice an American to get back and have sex or whatever, get a green card. I don't know what they're trying to do, but
I
I
think
know it's high sex.
I think the passport bro thing is a very like nuanced conversation because I could easily say it's kind of one of those things I don't really have that strong of an opinion about either way. I think if you are a man who is doing it for genuine reasons, if you feel like you are genuinely just fed up with westernized American women, I can totally understand that. I could totally understand you saying, well, let me see if I can't go elsewhere to find a woman that's more traditional or that understands, what I need from her or what have you. But then because the women who are against passport bros, they'll say, "Oh, you're only going over there because those women are like you said, like they're just it's just sex trafficking, and you're just playing on the fact that they're poor and they're willing to do anything and this kind of thing." But then that's kind of demeaning. It's like, well, you can't assume every single woman lacks the ability to make a decision for herself if she wants to marry this man or whatever. So I think it really just depends on your what your real intentions
I
are.
I think we have to stop this idea that getting into a relationship or marrying somebody is not also supposed to be like a stepping stone. Like to just think I'm supposed to just marry just only because I love you. Like what do you have to offer me? Like
Mhm.
what
Yeah,
would you
what
make
value would you bring to my
better
life?
in my life? Like
Mhm.
these are serious questions that you have to ask people when you're dating or evaluate people. Like I'm not just going to marry a woman that cannot bring any fruitfulness to my life.
Yeah.
Period. So when people are like, "Oh, you're going over there because they're poor," well, if she's marrying me, maybe I can provide financial
Yeah,
stability,
exactly. I
and
can
I don't
elevate
see
her life, which I think men
right, and
should
I don't
do.
have no problem with that. I don't have no problem with women saying I want a man to make money. I think all it just goes back to, are you dating outside of of your sexual marketplace?
Well,
Like
because
that's what it is. And so with an Ebony K, if you saying
yeah,
you are this high power lawyer, and let's say you make 200,
that's what
you
we said
you
earlier,
you
200,000.
you are a woman. This is what you got to think about all the time. You are a lawyer. You're around other men that are lawyers. You mean to tell me you can't find any of those other lawyers who making the same amount of money as you or more, or the nigga that earned a law firm or the man that made partner who's making more money than you
Well, we know
to
why that
commit to
is.
commit to you?
Because like Darian mentioned, those men want younger women. So the men that are in your ballpark, Ebony K, you're probably not their first choice. So you have to either say to yourself, I'm going to try to compete with women 15 years younger than me, or I'm going to have to accept the fact that I might, because of the series of decisions I've made up until this point in my life. Because if you had done it the right way, you'd probably be married to your husband for at least 12 years by now, and you'd be fine. You'd be out the game. We wouldn't even be having this conversation.
I think this is my honest opinion. I think she probably ended up getting a bad reputation. She probably was thinking that she's like the men and going to sleep around and see these high powered men and see what's going on. I don't think it's necessarily that men couldn't deal with her, because I'm sure it was a man that could have broke her. And not meaning like broke her emotion. I'm talking about like tamed her to where, hey, you're talking to me rough, in a manner where she understands
Well,
what's
that
going
kind of
on.
dispels that little notion, though, that black men have been loving. They love to act like black women give white men the treatment of a lifetime. They swear that when we get with white men, we somehow magically turn feminine and docile. And that situation with her, obviously, if she was really playing it by the book,
I do think that black women do change who they are when they with white men. I do think that's true. But also we're talking about a woman who seems to speak the same way every time you see her speaking. This is just who this person is as a person. So
and
just
she
to
is a
say,
lawyer.
yeah, just to say that judging Ebony, that we might not, like it's gonna take a man, a real man, to come in and break her. Like he has to really, it might be some days where she getting flipped at the mouth and like, bitch, you need to shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna have to be something like that where, you
Could you
know,
imagine? We live in a society today. Obviously, I wouldn't necessarily, appreciate that type of language, but I try not to like be in a position where I feel like Darian would need to check me that way. But I know that like the average woman today, like they would literally fall to the floor if a man would basically told them to like shut up, like, stop, something like that. And the reason being is because we've just made it to where men can't be in their natural, like, it's not that you just want to just be mean and aggressive all the time. It's just that I think men are supposed to naturally like take control of situations, and they cannot do that if a woman is
Do you know?
you know.
Do you know? We've been here hour. We're gonna just end it. We just started. We could do a live one on the Brat.
Yeah. Oh God, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, we can do a part two.
But what I'm finna say is, do you know the protection part that men typically had to do was making sure if me and you was walking through the woods, that if another nigga jumped out with a club trying to knock my head off so he can rape you, that's what protection looked like. Like, men were barbaric when it comes to women. Like, they have been. Like, it was ain't no such thing as asking. I'm not gonna ask you, hey, can we have, like, it was a time in life where men literally took what they wanted. And now men have been docile so much. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. Well, it is wrong, but I'm not saying it's right or wrong how men are.
Yeah, I feel like
acting
maybe
now.
certain aspects of it could have been a little. Maybe y'all had to
Right.
dial it down a little bit for
Right. You know what I'm
society
saying?
now.
Yeah, like, like how he is, but like maybe the way we talk to women should be different. Should still be the same. Maybe it still should be kind of aggressive. Now it's like I gotta watch what my tongue around certain women. Like, it's certain men now that I have to be careful around in certain spaces because I know if I say something, he might get triggered because he was raised by a single mother. And you don't talk about women like that. And yeah, I've had that where men try to check me about how I'm speaking, but we all in the group and everybody speaking the same way. Then you just got this one nigga's 5 of us and this random dude or dude
You
that
don't get to have the barbershop talk anymore.
right, because we let women infiltrate like everything, like, and people got to understand this. Money is not really the thing that gets the women.
It's the power. It's the status.
It's the
how you carry
power.
yourself.
It's the power. It's the you who you hanging around with. It's you with the boss niggas. You on the pictures with IG. You got the car. Like, it's just you been in certain circles makes her think you that dude. You ain't got to show not one that. Oh, you was with Kanye West. It's sometimes it's just you being in that circle, you being with the powerful people. It ain't necessarily the money, because we all see money don't keep the woman. Money, we see all day, all these
Dr.
women.
Dre wife left him.
We don't. Money does not keep the woman. Now we can say maybe she was there to get the money through divorce, but it's kind of. I think even a lot of that is kind of far fetched to say, because you spending 20 years of your life to just earn that money, and if you say you're going through. You living in the hellhole? Who wants to live in the hellhole?
I wish these people would really divulge with us. And I know they wouldn't, probably because they don't want us in their business to that extent, but even for legal reasons, sometimes they can't. But I really wish we could really know for these marriages, like for instance, like with Tia Moore, it's like 14 years. Like, I get it. I wouldn't have ever been with Corey because I wouldn't be with a man I had to pick up off the bus stop. But you made that decision. You helped them get to wherever, whatever, and y'all both had equal net worth by the time y'all split. So what's the problem?
Yeah, I don't understand. Y'all got the same net worth now, like almost. Like, you just got what, $1 million more. You're worth 4, he's worth 3.
Exactly. That's the exact number I saw.
So it's like, what is the point of leaving, breaking up your family, your home, and now you're trying to be provocative?
Quickly talking about finding love again. She didn't even do.
You said you graduated. Why you even looking for love?
You know how most of them try to act like it's not about a man. Oh, this is a self journey I'm on. She played that card for like 2 days, and then she was like, "I know love will find me again." I'm like, girl, now.
Man, if a man's smart, he would steer clear from her. To break up your family like that, just to be back out here talking about
just
love,
to be back in the streets, just to find some
really
sort of sexual value again.
You would be a dumb dude to date her. She talking about she graduated. Like, that don't even make sense.
Graduated from your marriage. Jeez.
Well, we can talk about it real quick. We got about 15 minutes. You
okay.
got 15, Darren, you got 15 minutes. Okay. So the Brat. How do you feel about the Brat?
Women like the Brat and Judy. And I actually, when I made my thumbnail, I put Eboni K on there as well. I titled mine "They Hate Black Men." And
Mm.
they are just a microcosm of a bigger group of people, a larger group of women, black women at large. Um, and the reason I say that is because, first of all, the most obvious thing, Debrat and Judy are a lesbian couple, and neither one of them are particularly ugly or whatever. You know, it's like I know in your primes either of you could have been with a man. And I've already made my stance on this. I know it's not popular. I don't believe that women are inherently lesbian. I don't believe that that's a thing. I think that all women start with desiring the affections of a man or a young man, and either through some sort of low self-esteem, or maybe she wasn't getting chosen at the rate of her friends, or God forbid through some sort of abuse. It just kind of threw things off, and you yearn for the affection. You want something, you want somebody to lay next to or whatever. um and the fact that they said that they purposely did not choose a black sperm donor, you just want your child to be confused from every direction. They're going to grow up with two moms. That's who knows the psychological effect that's going to have. And then they're not even going to be fully black, um just because you felt like there were no good looking. And of course we know they said that, the one black man on there looked
Look
like
like Jiminy
Jiminy
Cricket.
Cricket. And the fact that you said that publicly, or it's just insane to me. Your disdain towards black men, like, you've just really shown your hand. And I think that's how I feel about it. I think it's just a portrayal of just a genuine just hatred for black men, wanting to.
So I'm gonna read this. And this is from Essence. It says, to be clear, for all those, and this is a post that this is a comment under the Brat's post
Of course, they're trying to do damage
from the
control.
sperm bank. I think it's from somebody from the sperm bank about black men and donations. But it says, to be clear, for all those that are not aware of the many things we weren't aware of, here it is. Black men make up less than 5% of the donation pool. Furthermore, with genetic testing that is specifically for looking into disease that humans carry, and inputting my stats in all of the cryo banks, it went from thousands to about 300. And of those, only one was black. And he also, unfortunately, wasn't a perfect match, she wrote in the comments.
What the heck does that mean? He wasn't a perfect match.
I don't know. So, well, he probably didn't look like they wanted him to look or tall enough or fit enough or
But
IQ.
it sounds like she's trying to word it as in, like, because of the whole genetic thing. Like, well, I mean, what was the problem?
I don't know. It says, so we actually waited a few weeks to see if the pool increased, but unfortunately, with the time frame, we had to choose between 6 and 8 weeks, and there was no new black donors to fit within the perfect fit
Have
with
you
my
just
genetic
considered
testing.
that y'all just ain't supposed to have no damn baby?
You know what? This might be
Go
this
ahead.
this
You
this
have at least one every show.
this is what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say when it comes to
They're not adopting, Cedric. They're not taking a child that doesn't have
okay, I'll
parents.
say, but when it comes to lesbian couples or just homosexual couples, I don't really believe in this. But if you are a couple, let's say heterosexual, and you maybe your husband can't give you the sperm you need, this might still be a good thing because you can decide. Basically, you can make a designer baby if you wanted to. I know maybe shouldn't play with creating life like
Oh,
this.
you're just talking to surrogacy, period.
Yeah, like
Oh,
not like surrogacy, but let's say, my husband couldn't, sperm is low, and then we just wanted to have a baby. So I went to sperm bank and we decided to pick through the kids.
I mean, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that concept is a little skeevy, but I do feel like if you're a person who genuinely cannot conceive naturally, not because you're just two women trying to have a baby at 40. No, I'm tripping. 48 is the Brat's 48, right? Didn't we say that?
She 48. You want to look it up?
I'm pretty sure we said that the first time we talked about it, because we talked about this when they first got married, I thought. She definitely ain't 40.
How old is the brat?
That's
49 years old.
Yeah. So you know, I don't think you should be wasting them folks' time and good resources trying to have no baby at 49 years old through artificial insemination.
But they also pushing the narrative more that, hey, ladies, we got the technology, y'all can push pregnancy and marriage off a little bit longer. Like I said,
What's all in the
all
chicken?
they're trying to do is give women the same chances as men at this point. And that always is just gonna make things unbalanced. Now you're telling women you can wait later, and they tell you typically after 35, it's called geriatric pregnancy,
Geriatric
and
after
you don't
35. That's
need to be
crazy.
having kids, and then you have the argument. Well, my mama had me at 40. Yeah, but was that advised to do?
Not to mention, you probably, honey, ran amok in that house by the time you got about 15, 16. Your mama would have been like 55, 56. Honey, she ain't stunning chase behind no child,
Right.
keeping up with what you doing. She don't know nothing about no phones and social media. You probably was running amok.
And so this is the thing, like, and when I heard that it was a white sperm donor, I think they said white sperm donor.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, of course, because
Right.
yeah, people don't like to admit. Like they even say on dating websites, white men are the highest pick, and then it's black men. So like, I think it comes with the power. I think it comes with just the thinking of white men probably have more money than any other race, and they say, white men, going to control and run things, and it's their world, for lack of better terms. So I think that's why so many women pick them on like dating websites and stuff, because they associate them with a lot of, great qualities and attributes. Not saying they do have it, not saying
Yeah,
that
that's
they
just
don't have it.
the
It's just the
association.
association, and I think now,
Well, could you not say the same thing for black men when they, when they will choose to date outside their race? They just associate white women with more traditional roles. They associate Latina women with more traditional roles or whatever.
I think, I think Well, let's. So when you see Hispanics, like just Hispanics, do you think when you see them, they still try to keep a lot of their traditional culture, even in America?
Oh yeah, from what I see.
And with black people, we don't really have a necessarily a. We had a way of living once upon a time that was decent. But for us to say we are a culture, black people, not African, they come, but just us, we've been here
Yeah,
400
black
years.
Americans.
We don't really have a culture.
And the little bit we do is abhorrent.
Right. So it's like the culture that we're trying to build. We still today still trying to find it ourselves. And I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say this, and it was pretty dope. They was labeling everybody in Africa as black, but instead they should have labeled everybody in Africa as the most genetic diverse place in the world. And he was saying that the tallest people in Africa are in Africa, the shortest people are in Africa, the fattest people are in Africa, the skinniest people in Africa. Like you have so much genetic diversity in Africa. And what happened was a lot of us just come over here and thinking we're all basically the same people, but black people are very, very tribal, even in Africa. And so sometimes that might be a reason why a lot of us can't get along with each other, because genetically of how we've been for thousands of years before coming to America, we might have been, me and you might have been in a warring tribe. Who knows?
Oh, hey, I never thought about that.
So it's like it made plenty of sense. Like it's genetically diverse, even though like like they was talking about how South Africa, how far that is from Asia, but the phenotypes are these black people look Asian.
Mhm.
Like that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So
No, I definitely can believe that, and I think that we have to be mindful of trying to make black people a monolith. And I think that's
mhm,
the problem that people like myself and that we can face sometimes in our community, where we're saying things that just aren't typical black things to say. We're saying, "Hey, no, we're not going to just sit around and play woe is me all the time. We're not going to sit around and just be degenerative in our sexual practices all the time, or
right.
whatever types of things we see." It's like, no, we're going to have a standard. And I know we used to, and you guys have deviated from it so much to where when somebody says it, it offends you. It's like, how is it offending you that I'm saying I'm trying to hold us to a higher standard? Like that, if anything, you should take pride in that, to say, okay, you're not looking at us the same way that a true racist white person would look at you to say that no, you can't be any better than you are. That's what CRT, critical race theory, that's what that really is. Basically, a theory that black people are inherently inferior, cannot rise above any adversity, and they're basically just going to be stuck in this perpetual being infantilized forever, versus a person that says, well, no, I'm not going to go along with that theory. I think that I can achieve greatness just like anybody else, you know? So not to get on the soapbox, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. Speaking on that and the stuff that we see going on. This is for men and women, but I'm a man's advocate, so man, y'all need to listen to this. If just keep your eyes open. I'm gonna say this. Keep your eyes open. Look up, down, left, right, forward and back. Always keep your eyes open and keep your ears open and just watch, pay attention and listen. Look around, see what people's outcomes are, see who's giving the advice and see how they're living. Because the thing and the advice I'm giving y'all is if you see these women acting the way that they act, and we're talking about in a dating sense right now, and they're acting like a Suki Hunter or your city girls or your hot girls or whatever, get out their way. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Get out of their way. Don't try to save them. Let them crash and burn. Do not be, everything that glitters isn't gold. It might look good. It might be a fun time, but we seeing too much stuff that happens. I was watching Pink Book Lessons today. I think that's
Oh,
what it's
shout
called.
out to Pink Book
And
Lessons.
she was talking about how a girl got got killed by a hitman because her boyfriend was cheating with a girl, and the girl got mad that he called it off and hired a hitman to kill her. And he killed her in the car with her 11-year-old son in the car.
Jesus.
4 days prior to killing her, the same man killed somebody else. He's a hired hitman.
That's actually really dark and sick.
And that's why I say, fellas, pay attention to who you're dealing with. You cannot be out here and be thinking with the lower head. You cannot be doing that because it's going to lead you in a world of trouble.
Yeah, it is.
And we see what's going on with the Me Too movement, believe all women, women's rights, women being wanting to kill black babies and stuff like that, sexual liberation. It's wild that the amount of interviews you're talking about Freaknik. It's wild the amount of interviews that I seen from Freaknik of women with a smile on their face talking about how some of them got raped, some of them were I got saved because the police were beside me. Oh, I was so
Jesus.
close to getting raped. Oh my God. And all these women had a smile on their face like it was a good time and like yes, this is what we came to do. This was going on. Freaknik was more than just the 1994 one.
It's crazy that women can literally do anything and at the end of the day just find a way to blame men. Like you could
Right.
literally have totally consensual sex with a man, have some sort of regret about it because
Sexual
and then
remorse.
you're just gonna just be like, yeah, he raped me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, because that type of allegation is so strong, people are just gonna typically automatically assume it must be true.
Right. Because I always like to say this too, that the amount of false rape allegations is so small, but social media I tell you, it's good and bad because now we're seeing so many cases of where rape allegations are more falsified than we like to believe. People get hurt, women get in their feelings, and we can't be. And this is what I hate that we act like. Do we act like the people who ain't out here advocating to kill their damn kids wouldn't do something vindictive like lie about getting raped?
Exactly. Like, come on, you clearly have no moral compass at all.
Right, like,
I
what
don't put
is it-
anything past you.
Like, what does it stop? Like, we literally are out here acting like these people are the women are coming from like a Cinderella movie when in fact these are the most despicable human beings, degenerate. They just want to kill, sex, get drunk, drive the boat, do all this stuff, pop the coochie all on camera,
and never stop. They don't just do it from 21 to 23 like a normal. I mean, they can't. They gotta just do it today. 30, 35. It's like, hey now.
Yeah, this is
Go home somewhere. You the old lady. You the old be at the club now.
old lady at the club, but they still, like I said, they gonna be a 40-year-old Ebony K. Williams asking for where her boy is at and where my man is, and I'm not settling and all of this type of stuff. And he
Not
gotta
where my
own,
boy
he
is
gotta
at.
own the bus and all of this. Like, okay, he gotta own the bus, but how many niggas?
Don't be over there making that face,
But how many niggas
handsome.
that you talk to? How many niggas do you talk to that on the bus? Right. You don't nobody's coming to you that on the bus. How many niggas is coming to you? You say you like black men with ownership. But how many niggas coming to you that own something?
Because if they're coming, certainly you would have found one by now. So you're just not their target demographic anymore.
When a pretty woman is saying I'm sure we could probably go back 20 years and find her saying the same thing she's saying now. So from 20 to 40, you mean to tell me you have the same rhetoric and the same outcome? Baby, it's time to change it up. Something about your personality is horrible. Your sex game is horrible. You don't know how to speak to men. You don't know you're not feminine enough. It's something that you need to change up inside of you. Then you said in that interview that you were raised by a single mother and your father wasn't there. You might have a resentment with men because your father wasn't there.
For sure.
Like, it's so much that you need to deal with and heal yourself of going forward when it comes to dating men. That's all I gotta say for today. Jazz, what you gotta say? We'll get up out of here.
Just that you're lame at this point if you are not subscribed to the Tough Topics channel. And there are 2 Tough Topics channels. One has slightly more subscribers than me, but you should recognize this face. Okay, so subscribe to my YouTube channel, please, please, please. I'm trying so hard to give you guys consistent, constant content. And as a new content creator, I really have an appreciation for people who do this. Like, it is so tedious and time consuming editing videos and coming up with thumbnails or ideas to talk about, being able to captivate an audience for this long of a time. And so really just shout out to Seth, of course, for having me on and for also being a great mentor to me in this space. So make sure you're subscribed to the New Normal podcast as well, not just watching this on Facebook. So yeah, Tough Topics is taking off, and you ladies just don't be an Ebony K. Don't be just fine and 40, because what is it doing?
That's all they're gonna get. 5 and 40. It's the New Normal Podcast. Like Jazz said, make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share the video. Because if you don't, that means your mama is a beep.